Tonight we're going to share a little bit about our backgrounds, how we got to a career in the STEM field, and then share with you some of the initiatives that Northrop Grumman has to strengthen the STEM pipeline. So with that being said, I'll turn it over to Kathy, and she's going to kick us off.
So I'm glad to see that you all are here tonight, and so I'm thankful for you coming, and I'm so thankful that you devoted yourselves to enriching children's lives. I was kind of curious, how many of your students actually like math? Well, I didn't like math very much either. I actually probably got a D in my first algebra class when I was in 7th grade. So if someone had looked at my grades back then, they probably would have said, no way, she's going to become an engineer. But I had a lot of good influences in my life. My father was an engineer, and he always helped us to learn and to teach us how to teach ourselves. One of my dad's favorite things was to say, look it up. So if I had a question, how do I spell this? What does that mean? It was always look it up. I love that we had encyclopedias in the house, and so I was able to do a lot of my own research. And of course, my parents helped us, with our homework, and they were always there. When we weren't able to solve our own problems, but they were definitely there to encourage us and, just to get us going in the right direction. There were also other influences in my life because as I was getting into the engineering field, I wasn't sure really where I wanted to go. I had a good friend who was also in engineering, who was a couple years older than me. He would help me with homework. He would guide me on when I was going for a job interview and kind of lead me into what questions I needed to ask, what things I needed to say. So I just wanted to kind of let you all know that you're mentors for your children and they're really looking up to you. Encourage them along the way, help guide them when they get stuck. And I know you all know this, but I think it bears repeating. So those are some of the big influences that really led me into a career. When I was about 12 years old, my father bought a computer. And nowadays, a computer's in every home. But I'm showing my age, but in the early 80s, very few people had computers. And I was able to teach myself how to write programming languages. So I wrote programs when I was 12, which I think was very unusual back then. But now, it's really nice that children, even underprivileged children, probably have access to the internet. And you can go on the internet and Google just about anything, how to play an instrument, how to install a toilet, whatever you want is out there on Google and or YouTube. And I think the most difficult thing might just be to discern the good information from the bad. So what I've learned to do when I need to solve a problem is get multiple sources and try to corroborate those across multiple sources so I make sure that I've gotten good information. So fast forward about 20 years and I've been doing a lot of different software in my life. I've written software for satellite ground stations and satellites for GPS for the government. I've worked on simulation programs, first-person simulator programs, and third-person simulator programs. We're going to show you a couple of examples of some of them. A first-person simulation might be like a first-person shooter game where you're kind of immersed. This first one is called the Bite, and this is actually a 360-degree simulator where the person stands in the middle and they're actually surrounded by video on all sides. And this was mainly devised so that the military could get training on how to approach enemy forces or how to detect an IED before they actually arrive at one.
Low-cost, portable, immersive environment. So we can put the user inside the environment and then use cutting-edge gaming technology to create a virtual environment around them. We use commercial off-the-shelf technology and hardware to keep costs down. It also keeps future maintenance and enhancements easy and affordable as well. The great thing about virtual reality and gaining technology, it's moving so rapidly that really it's endless possibilities that we can do. If you can think it, we could create it eventually. So currently we're using the bike holodeck and virtual training for the military. We're doing advanced situational awareness type training so they can walk through the area of operation or the town that they're going to go visit. They can walk through that town in the virtual environment and prepare themselves for what they may or may not encounter in that environment. So we can actually drop in threats. We can drop in IEDs, drop in signals that should tip them off as a potential problem. And they can walk through the virtual environment and see how they do, see how they respond, see how they react before they go into that situation.
So that's an example of a first-person simulator. And here's another example of a different type of simulator.
Red 1, this is 2. I have an unidentified object next to the road. I'm slowing down.
Roger, Red 2. Let me know what it looks like. Break. All red elements. Maintain intervals while Red 2 is confirming.
Roger.
Heads up, guys. This is the same place White found that cache last week. Sergeant Harris, are you tracking those two mans at 5 o'clock?
Roger, sir. They've just been hanging out, watching us. I got them covered.
Red 1, this is 2. I think we have an IED up here. There's a mound next to the road that wasn't there last week, and a few kids trying to flag us down over the far side. What's the command? Red 2 out.
Everyone stop, dismount, and knock out your 5s and 25s. Keep an eye on the mans. Walsh, Bruner, if anything happens, stick with me.
Roger, sir. I have my A-bag on me.
Harris, keep oriented north in case an event comes this way.
Roger, sir. Coordinates set. All dismounts are out.
Roger. Setting up the 9 line. Chainsaw X-ray, this is Red 1, over.
This is Chainsaw X-ray, over.
Contact report. IED, 9 line to follow.
Roger, send it.
Line 1, time 1821, local, break. Line 2, QC 41255209, break. Line 3, chainsaw red 1, break. Line 4, place munition.
Don't stop. Get good.
EFP, break. Line 5, negative MBC, break. Line 6, coalition and civilian vehicle and break. Line 7, red platoon has stopped, awaiting EOD, break. Line 8, cordon set, currently conducting TQ of local nationals vicinity of UXO, break. Line 9, recommend immediate priority.
Roger, maintain court, out.
Sir, EOD coming soon?
X-ray should have it updated a bit.
Contact! RPG 1-1!
Return fire to get the ID. Everyone should dismount back in. This is Red 1, contact RPG team out. All units report in.
This is Red 2. We have the RPG team in sight and are returning fire. Status green. No casualties. Over.
This is Red 3. Native contact. Status screen. Over.
This is Red 4, negative contact, status screen, over. Red 4, monitor, company command. Send out the social report as soon as you can, over.
Roger, over. Sir, I have 50 rounds expended. 3 enemy KA. Weapon status green. I don't see anybody else.
Red 2, move up and have your dismount secure the enemy attack position. Red 4, what's the status of UAV air support?
X-ray says there's an air weapon team, Gunslinger 21, in general support. Contact on Foxtrot Hotel 292.
Any gunslinger element. This is Chainsaw Red 1. I currently have TIC and request support. Over.
Roger. This is Gunslinger 214. A red team with 2 Apaches, 30 light blank, rocket and hellfire. What's your situation and position? Over.
I have 41114's BB 23433452. I have a port center on a potential IED and have just received RPG fire. I have 3 enemy KIA, no friendly wounded. My truck is the northmost vehicle. We're all marked with PBS panels. Please shift to frequency Foxtrot Hotel 203 for direct coordination.
Roger that, Red 1. Inbound your position. ETA 2 mics. Jumping to Foxtrot Hotel 203. Out.
Sir, 5 more enemies PID at the farmhouse. They just started firing Red 2's dismounts.
Roger. Denny, get ready to move. Red 2, pick up your dismounts and move back. I have an AWT coming in and I don't want anybody running around. Red 3 and 4, come online with my position to my west. Everybody keep an eye on our flanks.
Sir, I sent the salute up to X-ray. Chainsaw 6 wants to know how you got that air weapons team here so fast.
Tell them these intercoms are pretty sweet.
This is Gunslinger 214, checking in. Request updated position and tasking.
This is Red 1. We're taking fire from a farmhouse at BB 2351, 3481, from an estimated 5 enemies. My new truck just threw a white smoke and is picking up its 2 dismounts. I'm 1 vehicle over. Attack target farmhouse by fire.
This is Gunslinger 214, attacking target with 30 light and rockets. Out.
Wow.
Red 1, good call. It is AWT here, sir. That probably saved the day. X-ray says EOD is on hold until the TIC is over. Group BLT is en route with the 6. ETA, 10 lights.
Roger. It'll be over by then. Out.
That's cool.
So, the Department of Defense uses a lot of different military simulations like this, and they try to build the back ends so that they are common, so that they can link all types of different simulations with each other. So you can have someone actually doing a first-person simulation and hook it into another simulation that's a third-person simulation. So someone could be learning how to maybe react to a situation like that while they're actually sitting in a Humvee with a screen in front of them. And they'll be making decisions. And then someone else who could be a commander could actually be looking at a map of the entire battlefield and where their soldiers are going. So it's really fascinating when you get into the complexities of all these different simulations and how the Department of Defense is trying to get them all interconnected so that they can have very large scale training with people all over the world. So someone in Orlando could be training alongside someone who's in California and perhaps someone who's actually in Afghanistan. So I wanted to get us into just a little bit of the software life cycle. So what I might do on a weekly, monthly basis to develop programs such as this. The first thing is that the customer comes to us with a problem, and we have to define that problem. So the initial planning phase would be them coming to us with this, this grandiose idea, and then we take that into the requirements analysis phase. That phase is probably the most important piece of the life cycle. If you don't get the requirements analysis right in the beginning, you'll end up coming back to it over and over again and spending more money. So step number 2 is probably the most important. It's probably also the most rushed. The customer wants something, they don't know what they want, but they want it in 6 months. So you move on and you try to throw out some requirements quickly, and then you move into the design and development phase. So in design and development, you take the larger problem and you try to break it down into small problems. You want to be able to hand it out to multiple engineers so that they can each work on their own subsections and then be able to bring it all together in the end. So once you've kind of developed out some of the smaller pieces, then you have each of the different engineers. Oh, actually, there's kind of a piece missing in this life cycle. I just found it on the internet. But what we would do after the design phase is really come up with a series of tests. So what you want to be able to do is be able to prove each and every requirement that the customer has. So you're going to design a test for each requirement so that when you're all done and completed, you have some way to sign that off. In order to get paid, the customer wants you to be able to prove that you've tested each of the requirements. So somewhere between around 3 and 4, you're going to be building some of those tests. Then you go into your coding phase and you develop your different software modules. A lot of times you may be developing hardware modules also. And then you code the small pieces and you unit test the small pieces. So often a unit test is creating another piece of software to test your software. And you do that because, say you're building a car, and maybe I'm tasked with writing the software that measures the tire pressure or calculates the miles per gallon. Well,
well, I'm not gonna have the car to test my software, so I have to have some way to test that what I've done is correct. So I write little test drivers to be able to test those pieces. Because if I wait till the car's done to test, then I may have to go back and fix a lot of different software pieces. So I test at a unit level during stage 4, and then stage 5 is integration. So you start bringing all the pieces together. You could have 100 people working on this program, and they've each done their own pieces, and you have to pull that all together and then test at a higher scale, at a larger level. So once you've done that, you go to client-side evaluation, which is more testing and signing off of those requirements that you developed early on. And then you'll go through a series of sign-offs. So for us, we're actually right now in this program, we're doing some live training. So we're doing a laser tag type of system. So before soldiers deploy to Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, they go to the training center, and they're actually out in the desert, and they wear a laser tag vest, and their vehicles are actually outfitted with laser sensors as well. And so they'll actually do a very large battle in order to train before they go. And so as part of our sign-off, we have to prove that our software works in 2 of these large battles that take place out at one of the training centers. So that's part of our sign-off. Once we've completed those successfully, then the customer accepts that we've completed our requirements successfully. And then we move into the support phase. Now the support phase is another piece that's often overlooked. That's the bug fixing stage. Because nobody, when they write their software, say, I'm going to have bugs in my code. Right? My code's perfect. Why would it have any bugs in it? So stage 8 is bug fixing and support, and often the customer wants changes. Because again, going back to number 2, they really didn't know what they wanted in the first place. You do your best to ask a lot of questions and get the details of those requirements written down, but there's always things that are unknown. And they also, they learn as they go, we learn as we go, and so stage 8 often happens to go back to stage 2 and possibly wrap around again. So with that, I'll give you over to Krystle.
So I'll just pick up where Kathy left off. I'm a systems engineer, and we're currently supporting the same program. Right now, Kathy is supporting the software development phase of the life cycle of the system, and I'm supporting the integration and test team. So Kathy touched on the importance of testing and the importance of requirements. So we're an independent team that's making sure that the system meets the customer's requirements. And then I want to go back to talk about why I'm actually here in Orlando, because my home base is Washington, D.C. I'm in one of Northrop Grumman's leadership development programs called the Systems Engineering Associates Program. It's a 2-year program that allows participants to get a deeper understanding of systems engineering. We rotate throughout the company. We have 4 rotations, 6 months each. So I'm currently in my 3rd rotation, and I have the opportunity to come here and work on the program with Kathy and learn a little bit more about the customer domain and a little bit more about integration and testing. So I want to back up and talk about what led me to choose a career in this field. I'm at Gorham, Virginia, which is southwestern Virginia, about 45 minutes from Virginia Tech. Anyone familiar with where Virginia Tech is?
Go Hokies!
So I must confess, I'm a Wazoo. I chose to go to the University of Virginia. And I was born and raised in Roanoke, Virginia. I had a mother who always stressed the importance of education. She always had me in the most advanced classes. In high school, I was in the IB program. And while I was in high school, I decided that I needed to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. Worked with my guidance counselor, looked at all the different careers that were out there, and said, well, I'm good in math, I'm good in science, and engineering seemed like a good fit for me. But I want to stop here and talk about some statistics, because I made the decision to choose to major in engineering, but a lot of my classmates did not. And I was at a conference about 2 weeks ago, and I saw the statistics for my class, incoming freshmen that came in 2001, and it was a little disappointing. So there were 4 million ninth graders that entered high school with me in 2001. There were 2.8 million graduates of the class of 2005. That's my class. So we lost, almost half of that class that didn't even graduate. Out of those 2.8 million that graduated, 1.8 million had plans to go to college, but only 1.3 million were ready to go to college. Out of those that were ready, only 300,000 chose to major in a STEM field, and only about half graduated in STEM. So if you look at those numbers, those 4 million students that started in the STEM field, and look at the 150,000 that ended up choosing a major in the STEM field, it's pretty disappointing, right? So I want to talk about some of Northrop Grumman's STEM initiatives and things that Northrop Grumman is devoted to in order to try to strengthen the STEM pipeline. And the first few programs I was talking about is specifically for teachers. The first one is Eco Classroom. This is available for middle and high school teachers who are science teachers, full-time science teachers. You have the opportunity to travel to Costa Rica for 2 weeks and go out into the field with real scientists and collect data on biodiversity and climate. And through those exercises, you're learning things that you can bring back to the classroom. So the way that the application process works is that you, as a science teacher, you identify 3 other teachers in other schools. They have to be from different schools. They can be within the same school district, or they can be in a different school district, but generally in the same region. You apply as a team, and you submit a group application. In that group application, you have to have individual recommendations from your administrators, and you also have to put together a plan on how you will use what you learn out of the field back in the classroom. And this program, the applications, I believe are due at the beginning of April, but this is Northrop Grumman's external website. So it's lots of details about the program and information on how to apply, the schedule for the program. So I encourage you, there's lots of teachers, science teachers here from different schools, network, and it's an opportunity for you all to apply and possibly participate in this program. And there's 16 participants that are selected. I'll show a quick video. out in the real world and bring back some things that actually do hands-on experiments with your students. It's one thing to read something in the textbook, but it's another thing to bring it to life for your students. So I encourage you to apply. You can make sure that you have links to our website.
Are they roughing it in a minute, or is it all down?
No, they're not. They're not staying in a hotel. No, I do not think that they're staying intense. I believe there are facilities for showers. But I do know it's not. They're either five-star hotel. So you have to be ready to get in touch with nature.
Do you know if they're anything, if they're doing anything non-viral?
Oh, you mean in terms of who can apply?
No, in terms of what they're actually doing.
I do not know. There may be additional information on here in terms of what they're actually doing, in terms of what they're collecting and what they're looking for.
Yeah, what they're doing with what they collect. I mean, you can get some chemistry in there.
Oh, yeah, probably.
It's probable.
Well, it's inspirational, whether it's
You're science or not.
So when I was looking at the application details, it looked like they were focused on biology, life science, or environmental. I don't know if there's going to be ways in that or not. I could find out more information and just really pass it on to the process. The next initiative that I want to talk about is Fab School Labs. So for the 2015-2016 year, the application period is ended, but it should be opening up again in March. It'll continue, I believe, through the summertime, but this is an opportunity to get a lab makeover for your school. So you come together, you create a video, you submit an application, a selection committee picks the top finalists, and then social media is used to pick the 5 winners.
Attention middle school science teachers. The Northrop Grumman Foundation is on a mission to inspire kids to become tomorrow's innovators by getting them excited about STEM. And it's in the classroom where inspiration fuels imagination. But most of today's science labs are not as inspirational as they could be. So Fab School Labs is here to help. The Northrop Grumman Foundation is making 5 grants up to $100,000 available to public middle schools for their very own school lab makeover. Just tell us your Fab Lab vision, share a video about why your classroom is not making a grade, and have your community vote in support. You could win a state-of-the-art lab stocked with the latest and greatest learning tools and technologies. We're talking incubators, hydrometers, and study kits galore. Now that's inspiring. So think Fab Labs, and let's help the Marie Curies and Stephen Hawkings of tomorrow reach their potential with a new science lab made for higher learning. For more details, visit www.fabschoollabs.com. And be sure to follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/fabschoollabs.
So when you think about encouraging students to consider the STEM field, I mean, if you have a state-of-the-art lab, that would definitely help. So look back at the website. Like I said, I believe the application period will open up sometime this month. I'm just making sure of the date, but they'll definitely post that information here on this website. The next opportunity is the Northrop Grumman Foundation Teachers Academy. And this is a pretty unique opportunity because teachers get to come to one of the local Northrop Grumman sites and sit with some of the engineers and understand really the software development process that Kathy was talking about, or understanding how production lines work. And that's just an opportunity that you may not otherwise get. The application for Teachers Academy will open up, I believe, in the fall. So right now, for 2015 and 2016, the application is closed and we've already selected the candidates, but it is open to middle school teachers. Yes, middle school teachers only for this particular opportunity. share with other middle school teachers if you're a high school teacher. And just in general, if you go to northropgrumman.com and you select corporate responsibility, and then corporate citizenship, and then education, this is where you'll be able to get back to all of these goals and all of these different initiatives.
Is this open for all teachers or just some? The
No.
teachers academy?
It's actually open to all teachers. So with that, I believe we're probably almost out of time.
You're good.
So we just want to thank you, encourage you to check back to the Northrop Grumman website to make use of all the resources that are out there. If there's anything that's there, it'll definitely help your students better understand your engineering. And also consider a career in